Are the Longhorns about to land not one, but two transfer portal commitments this week? We've got the latest insider intel on today's episode of Locked On Longhorns. Intro!
You are Locked On Longhorns, your daily podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You are locked on to the Texas Longhorns. I'm your host, VK Brad Kellner, Texas grad, Austin native, and longtime sports radio host here in the Lone Star State. Thank you for making Locked On Longhorns a part of your day every single day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as well. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and tell your Longhorn friends about Locked On, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. We will preview the top 10 tilt between Texas and Auburn coming up at the Dish this weekend. But first, some Texas Longhorn football. Steve Sarkisian has been hard at work in the transfer portal this week. Of course, the Horns picked up a commitment from wide receiver Emmett Mosley, the fifth on Monday. And it sounds like more commitments could be coming very, very soon. We've got two players that have been crystal balled to Texas since yesterday's show. One of them is a guy that we talked about yesterday. We'll get to him in a minute. The other one is a guy and a position that we haven't talked about much. Inside Texas's Joe Cook has logged a crystal ball prediction for Texas to land Texas State kicker Mason Shipley. That's right, a kicker. Steve Sarkisian was actually asked about special teams during his press conference on Monday, and he raved about the punters. He said Michael Kern's gotten a lot better from last year, and Jack Bomeister, the grad transfer from Utah, has been really good. And Sark also talked about just the other aspects of special teams. We've got a bunch of athletes that we feel like are going to make us a lot better in that department in 2025. But when talking about the kicking game, he said, we're still trying to find our rhythm in the kicking game. That was on Monday. Maybe that was a sign that Texas was going to be in the market for a kicker in the portal, which, of course, reopened up on yesterday. Mason Shipley is a grad transfer. Again, he's played the last few years of his college career at Texas State right down the road. He is 31 of 35 on field goal attempts in his career. He was first team All Sun Belt back in 2023. He set a school record with 15 made field goals that season. And this past year, he actually nailed a 60-yarder in a game at NRG Stadium down in Houston. So, again, 31 of 35 all time. That's a very good percentage. He's got the leg, knocking one down from 60 yards this past year. This guy's pretty good. And, well, you would understand why some teams across the country would be interested in bringing a guy like that to their campus. Now, that begs the question, what happens to Bert Auburn? What happens to Will Stone? Is Texas actually in the market for a kicker? Again, inside Texas is Joe Cook, who knows his stuff. A great dude, by the way. He put a crystal ball projection for Texas to land Mason Shipley. Are the Longhorns going to have 3 scholarship kickers on their roster this coming season? Or if Mason Shipley comes in, does that mean Bert Auburn decides to hit the portal? Does that mean Will Stone decides to hit the portal? I don't know. Or is there just going to be an open competition between all 3 of those guys to see, all right, who is the best, and whoever wins that competition is the kicker when the Longhorns take the field on August 30th at Ohio State. This is very, very interesting. I know a lot of Texas fans have been clamoring for a new kicker after the way Bert Auburn ended this past year. And look, I'll ask y'all this right now. Texas, Ohio State on August 30th. If the Longhorns have a 42-yard field goal for the win in the final seconds, are you confident that Bert Auburn would go out there and knock it through? I'm not. Maybe that's the question Steve Sarkisian and special teams coordinator Jeff Banks have been asking themselves over the last few weeks. We know Bert Auburn is good. We saw what he did in 2023 when he set a Big 12 record for most consecutive field goals made. He was preseason All-SEC last year because of what he did 2 years ago. So we know he has the physical capability, but, man, kickers are so mental. So much of kicking is mental. And for so many kickers in college football, in the NFL, in high school, at every level, if you get the yips, if you just lose it up here, then you might not get it back. And maybe that's what Texas feels like is the case with Bert Auburn. Again, they all saw what he could do when he's right. But the way he ended last season, I mean, hell, it cost Texas the SEC championship game against Georgia, and it damn near cost Texas the Peach Bowl against Arizona State. Like, you're going to be playing some close games with this schedule that you have in this league. Every point is critical, and you cannot be leaving points on the board because of your kicker. Bert Auburn obviously lost his job. Texas didn't kick a field goal in the Cotton Bowl against Ohio State, but the 2 extra points that they kicked were kicked by Will Stone. So I don't know what would have happened if the Longhorns actually attempted a field goal in that game, but maybe Bert Auburn lost his gig, and maybe this coaching staff is still reeling from the way he ended the 2024 season. And then again, Will Stone, do you trust him enough to be the guy? I don't know. Something to monitor, but Texas could be in the market for a transfer portal kicker, and they might not have to look very far, to go find their guy. So keep an eye out and an ear out on Mason Shipley. The other potential transfer portal commitment, California tight end Jack Endries. We talked about him yesterday. One of my favorite players in the portal, of course, at a position of need for Texas. We played the sound from Steve Sarkisian yesterday talking about wide receiver, tight end, and defensive line being the top 3 areas that the Longhorns could be attacking in this portal window. They already got one wide receiver. We'll see if they get another one, but they got one wide receiver with Emmett Mosley. Now they might be close to landing their tight end. Jack Endries, 56 catches, 623 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns for the Cal Golden Bears this past season. Pro Football Focus has him ranked as the number 2 tight end in America coming back for 2025. And this is interesting, right? Obviously, you understand why Texas is interested in Jack Endries, but a lot of people expected Endries to go visit Indiana or Oklahoma or Alabama or Miami. Those were the schools that had been talked about more than Texas. And again, Jack Endries could go visit those schools, but it sounds like the Longhorns cut the line a little bit because they're going to get the first visit with Jack Endries. And our friends at Horns 24/7 have actually put in a crystal ball prediction for Jack Endries to end up committing to the University of Texas. And it goes without saying that would be a massive addition for the Longhorns tight end room, which has 0 returning experience. Of course, the Horns lost their top 3 tight ends from this past season. Anybody who's watched the Longhorns play these past 3 seasons has known how important that tight end position has been to the Texas offense with what JT Sanders did in 22 and 23. And then, of course, with Gunnar Helm leading the team in catches in 2024. You need to have a good tight end. And I think Texas has some really good young tight ends, but the Longhorns aren't in the middle of a rebuild right now. This is a team that wants to compete and should compete this coming year. They're going to be ranked in the top 3 in the preseason AP top 25 here in a few months. You need guys who can help you win right now. And Jack Endries, a freshman All-America 2 years ago, and then 56 catches for more than 600 yards 1 year ago. That's a type of guy who can help you win and compete at the highest level right now. You want to help Arch Manning out. You also want to help this red zone offense out. And getting a big-bodied target, Endries listed at 6'4", 240 on Cal's website last year. You get that big target who can help you out over the middle of the field. Should be able to help inside the red area too. And it seems like Endries is a pretty good blocker who can obviously help assist in the running game as well. And if you want to play tight end at the University of Texas, you've got to be 2-dimensional, right? You can't just be a great pass catcher. You've got to be able to block as well. Otherwise, you're not going to see the field. I think that's a big part of why Amari Niblack played as little as he did last year, and maybe why he ultimately decided to transfer to A&M. Jack Endries has the ability to block for the ground game too. So there's a lot to like about what he brings to the table. Again, a very important position. You've got some pieces there, but you need a guy who can help you win right now. And what a great guy to learn from, right? For Jordan Washington, for Amari Winston, for Nick Townsend, who gets here this summer. Hell, even for Spencer Shannon, even though he's been here for a few years, learning from a guy who has put up really, really good numbers in major college football. Yeah, I'm calling Cal major college football. Pac-12 2 years ago, ACC last year. It ain't Texas, it ain't the SEC. I'm still calling it major college football. To see what this guy has done, Pretty impressive and a great guy to learn from. And I think Jack Endries is a future NFL player. And you look at the way the Longhorns have been developing talent, turning guys into NFL draft picks, you could see why Endries would be interested in coming to Austin. By the way, in that freshman All-America campaign in 2023, Jack Endries had more snaps than any other tight end in football. That was his redshirt freshman year. So this dude clearly did something right to get to that point. And he's clearly done something right because he is a very hot commodity in the portal right now. But again, it feels like Texas cut the line. His former quarterback is at Indiana. Oklahoma was able to land one of Cal's running backs a couple of days ago. Alabama and Miami have been willing to spend a lot of money this offseason to address some needs in the portal. So you still got to hold them off. But again, the fact that the Longhorns are getting the first visit, and as of right now, they're the only confirmed visit for Jack Endries, that's good news. And it tells you Texas is pretty damn serious about getting that tight end void filled in the not too distant future. So there you go. 2 names to keep an eye on. We might get some breaking news today, tomorrow, at some point this holiday weekend. But good things seemingly on the horizon for Texas football in the transfer portal. All right, speaking of Longhorn football, a couple of Texas players held a media availability down on campus yesterday. One of the players who spoke, All-American Michael Taaffe. What did the fifth-year senior have to say about his expanded role in 2025 and the return of Dwayne Akina as the Longhorn secondary coach? We've got the sound coming up next right here on Locked On Longhorns. But first, a word for our friends at Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. These experts are ready to help you take your business to another level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing, a bunch of stuff that I don't know how to do. You might not know how to do either. So if you need extra hands for a short-term deal, or if you're looking for a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. You can find the right talent to help you with anything you need. Posting a job is free and simple, and you're going to get plenty of qualified candidates to choose from their top tier market of freelancers. It's the best way to scale your business efficiently. Go to upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's upwork.com, upwork.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today. All right, welcome back to Locked On Longhorns, your team every day. Mentioned it right before the break. A few Texas football players met with the media down on the 40 acres yesterday. We heard from Anthony Hill, we heard from Colin Simmons, and we also heard from Michael Taaffe. We'll get you some sound from those first 2 guys on tomorrow's episode, but we'll play some sound from Michael Taaffe, the fifth-year senior, the All-American. I think every Longhorn fan was pumped when Taaffe announced that he was returning to Austin for one final ride. One of the best players on this team a year ago, and he's going to need to be even better this season with all of the departures that Texas had on both sides of the football. Not only did Texas lose players, they also lost some coaches as well. Both secondaries coaches from the past couple of seasons, Terry Joseph and Blake Gideon, are no longer with the program. In comes Dwayne Akina and Mark Orfe. I don't have to tell you all about Dwayne Akina. If you're a Texas football fan, you know just about everything there is to know about Coach Akina and the impact that he made on those Mack Brown Texas teams back in the 2000s. Here's Michael Taaffe talking about his first few weeks, of getting to work with Coach Akina.
Yeah, it's been awesome. He demands excellence out of you. He doesn't do a lot of patting on your back, which I love and I appreciate because, I'd been in that spot all my life where it's like, look down, look down, look down. And then I have a really good season and it's All-American status. You're the guy, you're the guy, you're the guy. Well, now, Dwayne Akina, Coach Akina comes in. He's like, no, your standard's up here. You're here. Your standard's all the way up here. If you want to act like you're good, I've coached Michael Huff. The standard has been upped and upped and upped.
Love that. So there's Michael Taaffe talking about Dwayne Akina. He said Dwayne Akina and then quickly corrected himself to Coach Akina. He's like, I better get this one right. I don't want to have to run anymore at practice tomorrow. But what an opportunity for Michael Taaffe and an opportunity for all of these guys in this Texas secondary to learn from one of the most highly regarded defensive backs coaches in modern college football. I mean, Dwayne Akina has coached 3 Thorpe Award winners in his career. And that could be the goal for Michael Taaffe. I mean, hell, his teammate Jahdae Barron won the award last year. Michael Taaffe had a fantastic season playing next to Jahdae Barron and Andrew Makuba. Obviously, those two guys are off to the NFL. So Taaffe's role is going to increase this coming season. He's got to be better as a player. He's got to be better as a leader. We'll let you hear from Michael Taaffe in a moment, talking about being more of a leader on this 2025 squad. But yeah, Michael Taaffe, it's funny. I mean, Dwayne Aquina, it's cool. You were an All-American last year. Well, what have you done for me? Nothing. I haven't seen it. And that's great. You're an All-American. I've coached all of these All-Americans. I've coached these Thorpe Award winners. I've coached these first-round picks. So just because you got there, that ain't enough. The bar is even higher this year. We need more from you this season. We're trying to win a national championship this season. And even though Dwayne Aquina is up there in age, he is proving that age is just a number, because it sounds like he has been bringing the juice from the moment he stepped foot on campus. So again, really cool for Michael Taaffe to get to learn from this coach in his final year of college football. And obviously cool for some of the younger guys to get the chance to learn from a legend in the game like Dwayne Aquina. Here's another one from Michael Taaffe. He was asked if the defense was ahead of the offense, right? The offense only has 3 returning starters. The defense loses some key pieces, but they've got a lot more guys back from last year's squad. Here's Michael Taaffe answering that question.
You would think so on paper, but they also got a pretty good guy by the name of Arch Manning, if you've ever heard of him. And so he makes some plays on his own. But, I mean, the game of football is the greatest game on this earth because it's a team. It's one of the only team sports that you really need everybody to go. You need your left tackle for Arch to throw a great pass. You need the receiver to run the right route. You need the running back to block or get out whenever he needs to get out to throw the check down. And so they've won their days. We've won our days. We like to make it competitive. I'm a defensive guy, so I'd say that we've won more days than lost, but if Arch got up here, he'd probably say that he won more days than lost. So it's kind of going back and forth. It's fun.
So there you go. Michael Taaffe saying, yeah, even though the defense has more guys back, the offense is still doing their share. They're still having some good days at spring practice. And it's always kind of tough when we're talking about practice, Allen Iverson. We're talking about practice, man. You don't want to hear that one side of the ball is repeatedly dominating the other side of the ball, because it's always a net zero, right? So if Michael Taaffe came out and said, oh, the defense is dominating, like the offense has no clue what it's doing, our side of the ball is winning every single day, then it's like, well, you get excited about the defense. Hey, they're ready to go. They're going to be fine without Jahdae Barron and Andrew Makuba and, Alfred Collins and Vernon Broughton. But then you're like, oh, what about the offense? Does that mean the offense sucks? Does that mean there's some problems that we've got to worry about there? And then obviously the other way around. If you hear that the offense is dominating and the defense can't get any stops, then you're happy about the offense. You're worried about the defense. So that's the best possible answer Michael Taaffe could have given, and hopefully that's true, right? You want the offense to be having good days. You want the defense to be having good days. You obviously want standout performances from guys on both sides of the football, and love hearing that little nugget about Arch Manning, the other guy who wears number 16, saying that, no, that guy's pretty damn good. He can make some plays on his own. Even if a play is broken down, he's able to improvise and make something happen. I think that's an element of Arch Manning's game that we're going to be excited to see a lot of when we get to the fall. Last but not least, I teased this one earlier. Michael Taaffe was asked about being more of a leader. Again, no Jahdae Barron, no Andrew Makuba. Those guys have been friends for years, well before the time they started playing together at the University of Texas. Here's Michael Taaffe talking about those guys being gone and him trying to expand his leadership role.
Try to do a really good job of, the guy that maybe doesn't talk to a lot of people in the locker room, go reach out. Like, hey, how are you doing? What school are you from again? Like, how many, are you the oldest, youngest? I try to get those questions out there early just because, I know what it's like being a freshman. And even more, I know it's like being a freshman walk-on where nobody even really knows who you are. So you don't have the stars to be on social media coming in as a freshman. So I know what that's like. I know what it's like just being, just kind of going through things, going through adversity, and not a lot of people know about it because you don't talk about it. But maybe somebody notices. So I try to do that my best. But yes, it has been a great step for me to know. I think it's gotten me out of my comfort zone. Is kind of the way to say it, because there's times where I could just rely on Andrew and Jahdae. Like, they know what I'm talking about here. But, I got to get different ways of communication and got to get out of my comfort zone in some aspect.
Michael Taaffe, wise beyond his years, and yeah, he's got to be more of a leader on this defense, especially in that secondary. Look, you've got Manny Muhammad, who's been a multi-year starter at Texas. You've got Derek Williams. You've got Jelani McDonald. You've got some guys who have been a part of this thing for the last few seasons, but Michael Taaffe, obviously the eldest statesman in that secondary, he's got to be a leader not only for that group but for the defense as a whole, as one of the team captains for 2020. But yeah, it'll be different without Jahdae Barron and Andrew Makuba playing beside him. But love that mindset from Michael Taaffe, trying to do more, trying to talk to some of the younger guys. And what an easy guy to learn from, and what an easy guy to listen to. I mean, Michael Taaffe is one of the best stories in college football. Yeah, I'm wearing a Texas hat and a Texas shirt. I'm a little biased, but we're talking about a guy who started his career as a walk-on and then was an All-American this past season and is going to end up as an NFL draft pick in 2026. That's a guy that anybody can resonate with, right? Like, that guy had to put in the work to get to this spot. So if he just talks about, I need you to do this, this, and this, well, it's not just lip service. Like, he's done it. He's lived it, and he's worked hella hard to get to where he is right now. And yeah, I think, again, that's a story that can resonate with anybody from any background. So love having Michael Taaffe on this team here in 2025. Some good sound from the fifth-year senior safety. All right, one segment left. Another weekend coming up, another top 10 opponent for Texas baseball. The Longhorns get set to host number 8 Auburn at the Dish starting tonight. We will preview that series and give the latest injury news on a key Longhorn bat coming up next right here on Locked On Longhorns. But first, the NBA playoffs are almost here, and our friends at FanDuel are giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. That's right. You place your first $5 bet. If that bet wins, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets just like that. If you want to pick your favorite team, if you're a Rockets fan, if you're a Mavs fan, they're in the playoffs. You want to bet on them, you can do it. If you want to bet on an underdog, if you want to bet on the favorites, it doesn't matter. Plus player props as well. And you can even do live in-game betting after the game tips off. So if you don't get your bets in time, have no fear. Our friends at FanDuel have you covered. Download their app or head over to FanDuel.com for more. Do not miss out. FanDuel.com. Claim your $250 in bonus bets today. All right, final segment. Locked On Longhorns, your team every day. Little Texas Longhorn baseball. Yes, another top 10 series in the SEC. This time, the Auburn Tigers come to town, and it's an earlier weekend series because of Easter coming up on Sunday. The series opens tonight. You'll have a Thursday night game, a Friday night game, and then a Saturday afternoon matinee to wrap up this 3-game set. Some unfortunate injury news that came out yesterday. Jim Schlossnagle said that second baseman Ethan Mendoza is day-to-day for this Auburn series with a shoulder injury that he suffered in the series finale on Sunday against Kentucky. Schlossnagle said Mendoza is more than likely going to be available as a hitter before he's available as a fielder. So if Mendoza plays over these next 3 days, maybe he's a DH, or maybe he's just a pinch hitter. I don't know, but maybe he doesn't play at all. Who knows? But he's been great for Texas. The transfer from Arizona State has been the leadoff man for the majority of the season. He has been a godsend for this Longhorn baseball club. And Texas, of course, is already a bit shorthanded without Max Ballou. You do not want to be without Ethan Mendoza when you're playing one of the best teams in the conference and one of the best teams in the country. So we'll see what the Horns get for Ethan Mendoza. Obviously, you got bigger fish to fry than just one series, but every series matters when you're trying to win a conference championship and obviously trying to lock up a top 8 seed in the postseason. This is incredible. Auburn, there are 3 major polls out there. Auburn is ranked 6th in one, 7th in another, 8th in the other. Auburn is actually the lowest ranked opponent that Texas has hosted since opening SEC play a month ago. They played 2 other home series in conference play. Number 2, LSU is in town, and then number 3, Georgia was in town. So even though Auburn's top 10, somehow it's the worst team Texas has played at home so far in conference play. Don't let that fool you. Again, this is a top 8 team in college baseball. The Tigers just swept the LSU Tigers last weekend. It's the first time in 37 years that Auburn swept LSU. They've won 4 of their 5 SEC series so far. They took down Jacksonville State on Tuesday, so they're red hot. They've won 6 in a row. They've won 7 of their last 8 games. And again, they've won 4 of their 5 SEC series. Or does Texas have the edge? Well, the pitching staff. Texas has the edge against just about any team in America on the mound because the Longhorns have the second best ERA in the country. Jared Spencer tonight, Luke Harrison tomorrow. Those guys have a combined 3.01 ERA. Ruger Riojas has turned into a fantastic day 3 starter for the Horns. Pencil him in for that Saturday game. And then, of course, Texas has gotten great performances from its bullpen arms. Max Scrubs and Dylan Volantis have been the top 2 guys all year long. So from top to bottom, Texas has been great on the bump. Auburn has an ERA over 5 in SEC play. That's the good news for the Horns. But their starters over the last 4 games have an ERA of 0.43. So, again, coming off that sweep of LSU, the pitching staff was great. And then the Tuesday night game against Jacksonville State, the pitching was phenomenal there. So they've kind of turned things around, and their staff has been very, very impressive over the last week and change. They got some great bats. They actually have better hitting numbers than Texas for the most part, including a higher batting average. Cooper McMurray is their best player, hits .348. He can go with toe-to-toe with anybody in the country. He's got some great pop as well. Their bullpen is not very good. So like a lot of teams in college baseball, you want to knock the starters out of the game early and get to the pen. Auburn is not as deep as Texas in that spot. And we'll see if the Longhorn offense can get some things going. Texas needs more production from the bottom of its order. Mendoza's been great. Flores has been great. Gasparino's been great. Galvan, Schussler, all of those guys have done their job and then some since Max Ballou got hurt. But last weekend at Kentucky, Texas had 0 hits from its left field and 0 hits from the designated hitters. That's not good. 6 through 9 in the order has to step up. Maybe not this weekend, but if Texas is going to win the SEC and if Texas is going to make a deep run to Omaha this summer, they're going to need more than just their best bats to play well. Again, want those guys to keep playing well, but you're going to need more from top to bottom. So I'm going to take Texas to win this series. I'll say the Longhorns take 2 of 3. That was my pick last weekend against Kentucky. It came to fruition. I think the Longhorns, I don't think they pull off the sweep. I think Auburn's too good, and I think Texas might be too banged up. But the way this Texas team has played, especially at home, I'm going to take the Horns to win another SEC series, and hopefully that keeps them in first place and sole possession of first place in the league. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you all for making Locked On Longhorns a part of your day. For your next listen, check out Locked On NFL Draft with Damian Parson and Keith Sanchez as your favorite college players and your favorite Longhorns. Get ready for the next level. Get the latest draft rankings, rumors, and news every day. Find Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. We'll be back tomorrow. More sound from the Texas football media availability and maybe some more transfer portal nuggets as well, and a recap of Game 1 of Texas and Auburn. That's all coming up. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Until next time, horns up, mic's off. We'll see y'all soon on Locked On Longhorns.